All right, you're going to want to hear this. Something huge just happened where AI and real estate meet. And I'm not talking about some small incremental change. No, this is a full-blown transformation of the entire industry. So it all boils down to this one number, $303 billion. Let that sink in. That's what the AI and real estate market is expected to be worth in 2025. This isn't some niche little trend, folks. This is a giant. But you know what's maybe even crazier is how fast it's moving. We're looking at an annual growth rate of 34.4%. That's not just growth, that's like a rocket ship. It tells you that AI is being adopted at a breakneck speed across the whole profession. So the big question is, how in the world did we get here? What's the fuel behind this massive explosion? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a bunch of powerful technologies all coming together at once, and they're completely rewriting the rules for buying, selling, and managing property. And get this isn't some short-term fad that's going to fizzle out. Nope. Projections show this market is on a trajectory to hit nearly $1 trillion by 2029. If you're in real estate, that number should be a blaring signal. This is the future, and it's coming at us way faster than we thought. So, what's actually powering all this? Well, you've got things like AI-driven property searches that are just way smarter and more personal. Then there's predictive analytics, which are getting scarily accurate with property values. And of course, those immersive virtual tours are basically standard now. Plus, you have all these smart home gadgets talking to AI to automate managing the property. It's the whole shebang. So what this all really boils down to is that we are way past the hype phase. This isn't about some cool optional tech anymore. AI tools are becoming the essential infrastructure. You know, like having a phone or an email address. If you're not on board, you're not just falling behind, you're building on shaky ground. Okay, so that's the big 30,000-foot view. Let's zoom in and see how this is actually playing out on the ground. We're seeing a whole new kind of real estate agent emerge, and with it, a whole new kind of brokerage. So let me introduce you to a company called Modern Realty. They're backed by Y Combinator, you know, the famous startup factory, and they are a perfect example of this new AI-human partnership. They're not just dabbling in AI, they've built their entire business model around it. So here's how their model works, and it's pretty brilliant. Step 1, an AI handles 100% of the initial client chats, all the data gathering, all the tedious stuff. Then, and only then, once the client is qualified and actually ready to put in an offer, an expert human negotiator jumps in to do what humans do best: seal the deal. It's just a super efficient way to let agents focus on the money-making part of the job. And this right here is the key point. The whole idea isn't to replace human agents, it's to augment them. It's about taking all the repetitive, busy work off their plate so they can focus on the stuff that really matters, like negotiating a killer deal or building client relationships. It's all about making them better, not obsolete. And don't think for a second this is just a Silicon Valley thing. Oh no. The money is pouring in from all over the globe. We're talking about venture capitalists worldwide placing huge bets on this transformation. That's a massive vote of confidence from the people who know where the future is heading. Just look at this company, Prop AI. They're based in Dubai, and they just snagged $1.5 million in their pre-seed funding round. That's a lot of cash for such an early stage. And their goal isn't small time. They're looking to expand their AI tools way beyond the Middle East and go global. And you can totally see why investors are jumping on board. I mean, they tripled their revenue in just the first quarter of this year. They even got a seal of excellence from the Dubai AI Center. So you've got a company that's already proven it can work and has huge ambitions. That's a recipe for investor excitement. Okay, but with all this crazy growth and fast-moving tech, there's always a catch, right? A real wild card. And that wild card is regulation. Right now, Canada is the perfect kind of messy case study of what happens when technology moves at light speed and government, well, doesn't. So here's the problem in a nutshell. Canada had this big federal AI bill. It was called IDA, and it just stalled out. It didn't pass. And what that created is basically a regulatory vacuum. There are no clear rules of the road, leaving everyone, from brokers to tech companies, completely in the dark. And you can imagine what a tough spot that puts people in. So on a national level, there are zero guidelines on how to use AI responsibly. But at the same time, brokers are stuck trying to figure out this tangled mess of different rules for each province.
It's a total compliance nightmare.
So, what are you supposed to do in a situation like that? Well, without clear rules from the top, the responsibility really falls on the brokers themselves. They have to be super careful to follow all the existing privacy laws. They need to be actively looking for and fixing bias in their AI tools. And they've got to demand transparency and make sure a human is always in the loop. So, the pro tip here for anyone in this boat is to start writing down everything. Document all your AI processes now. The thinking is, if you build a solid compliance framework today, it'll be so much easier to tweak it when the official federal rules eventually show up. It's all about future-proofing your business. All right, so let's recap. We've seen the market just exploding, we've looked at new business models, we've followed the money around the globe, and we've touched on the regulatory headaches. So the question is, what's your next move? How are you going to build on this new foundation? When you look at all of this together, the takeaway is crystal clear. The time to sit on the sidelines and wait and see is over. It's gone. The early adopters are already pulling ahead, creating a huge gap between them and everyone else. And trying to play catch up later, that's going to be a tough, tough game. Look, AI isn't some sci-fi concept anymore. It's the essential infrastructure right now. It's the foundation of the industry's future. So the only real question left is your team building on it, or are you going to be left in the dust trying to catch up?